This is David from Tumbleweed Fly and Tackle with your Bluewater Lake update for May the 4th to the, 10th? Welcome to the holiday weekend if you're a Star Wars fanatic. The weather this week looks absolutely incredible. Finally, after all this roller coaster action, it looks like it's going to warm up and stay warm, but it comes with a price. This weekend, Friday, is going to be in the high 60s, Saturday in the mid to high 70s, and then by Sunday 80 degrees, no wind this week. Look for the water temperature to increase this week and into the week after the temperatures start to plane out and the water temperature at the lake warms up and stays a certain temperature. Everything is going to just light up, and I believe that's already happening now. Because our water temperatures are pushing just a little bit over 50 degrees. We've just had some cold nights, and the water is clear this year. Looking at like 3 to 4 feet of visibility from the surface, so that translates into a whole lot more underwater, especially if you're a fish and used to looking through murky waters. But just kind of unseasonably clean. Usually it'll clear up right around the first week of June. For most years, and then it's just kind of muddy or algae filled in between. The last time I saw it clear like this was in, I think it was 2013. So it looks pretty cool. It looks like we're going to continue to have those clear water days unless we start getting some rain here pretty soon, which it did last week. It snowed a little bit yesterday, so goodbye winter. This week is here. So the fishing is definitely picking up. We're hearing less about trout and more about muskie, which means that the water temperature is increasing, and that could mean anything for trout out here. There's no real way to pin them down. In the past few years, we've seen them up really close to the surface, chasing those minnows. They could still be doing that. They could also be suspended at like 12 feet over the middle of the ocean, over the middle of blue water. So they could be really anywhere right now, and definitely spread out now that the insects are starting to hatch. And look for that this weekend. The insects are just going to go crazy. So they'll be in that 5 to 6 foot range. I think that we'll see a lot of those insects. So that might pull the trout close to shore. Who knows? But you're going to find out. Typically, the best things to use this time of year are crawfish patterns for trout, because that's what's starting to happen right now. We got these little tiny crawdads out there. We also have a lot of minnows, so TPE mayflies and any kind of spinner, Castmaster, Super Duper, all that stuff. You can swing in the shop. We don't have a whole lot on spinners, but we do have a whole lot of TPE mayflies, and those seem to be the ticket. Being able to just cast it out there and let the waves do the work of the vertical motion of the fly or the lure, and the fish eat it. Flies, leeches, chronoman patterns, definitely this weekend and into next week. Woolly buggers, San Juan worms, if you feel like throwing them. It did rain, so there's a potential that there's a lot of that floating around in there. As far as muskies go, things are really picking up. The water temperature is slowly climbing. We'll definitely see it climb very fast this week. It'll probably get up into the 60s by the end of the week. Fingers crossed. If the water remains too clear, though, it will still slowly increase, which is really good for the fish because they don't get shocked, and they tend to feed a little bit more when the water gradually increases instead of just slamming up there into the 60-degree mark from 50. So the muskies, the thing is we're still in the same zone that we were in before, but we're into a different transition. So these fish are transitioning from paddle tails and swim baits and just cranking baits to faster cranking baits and topwater. So we typically start fishing topwater in April, just for an hour or two, just to see if it brings up anything, and then we fish normally. So what that means, whopper ploppers are back. We got whopper plopper 110s. You can throw those guys. I wouldn't suggest throwing it all day, although if you do catch some fish, I would. But I would suggest throwing it just in the morning hours from about 9 to 11, and then again from about 6 to 7. But your standards are going to be the S waivers, and since your water is clear, You want to go for more natural colors or white colors, or just regular natural kind of olive green, that kind of thing. You don't want to jump into fire tiger territory until we start getting into the monsoon season, when there's a lot of murkiness in the water. Other things that you want to throw, I don't know if you're a trolling kind of person, but if you are a trolling kind of person or a casting kind of person who likes to vary their retrieve, the Cisco Kid from Suic is definitely going to be one of the go-tos. And since you're at it, you might as well throw in one of the spinner baits to see if that action's happening. And this guy. This is a topwater. It's a floating, jointed, well, segmented soft plastic swim bait. No paddle. This might do the trick if they're feeding close to the surface but not on the surface. For example, if you're throwing a whole bunch of whopper ploppers and you see a whole bunch of fish following them, switch it to something that's just subsurface, like the 3D Rad or this floating Savage Gear. You can even throw spinner baits really fast just under the surface, almost like a whopper plopper. There's a whole bunch of different techniques that you can fish almost wake style, but not wake style. You can fish a S-waver real close to the surface, let it sink, and bring it back up to the surface. Lots of choices there. And like I said, stay away from topwater. Just do it a couple times to see if they're really going after it yet. That usually doesn't happen until the second or third week of May when we really start seeing them, but it's definitely worth a shot now. Fly fishing for muskies, derps, man, derps. Definitely in this part of year, I always switch over to white, and then if you're feeling rather frisky, this rust and olive color works pretty well. Natural colors tend to do fairly well in clear water. If the water gets murky, you want to go for a little bit brighter colors. That's when I start to throw yellows and stuff like that. But just some kind of muted color of flies is going to really grab their attention right now. They can see a really good distance off. They don't need to feel it. The derp is perfect for that. So that is all my advice to you today. So hopefully some of this info helps you out on your next muskie adventure. It's a little difficult this year, I know, but the fish are spread out. They've got food and they're harder to catch. So keep that in mind when you're fishing. You may come up with nothing, you may come up with a couple, but I can almost promise you that every fish you catch is going to be worth it. And because of the weather, it might be a little bit busy out there. My best suggestion for fishing high pressured water, which this really isn't, but there can be a lot of people at times, especially with one boat ramp, one boat dock, a very small boat dock at that. Just communicate, guys. Go out there, have fun, enjoy each other, enjoy the lake, and I'll see you next week.